Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I am finally doing my best makeup of 2020 video. These are all of my favorite products from the year. I am so excited for this. I've been wanting to film this for forever, and I've been trying to cut down my list as much as possible, and I think I did a fairly good job aside for blushes, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm sure this video is going to be so long, so I'm just gonna get right into it. By the way, what I'm wearing on my face is almost identical to what I'm wearing in an IG Instagram story that I did. I did like a get ready with me, no talking with just music. I have it on a highlight. I think it's called like Simple Pink Get Ready With Me. So it's almost exactly the same, except my lip color instead of a gloss is JK Magic from Charlotte Tilbury. But anyways, my favorite foundations of the year, I definitely have two, and honestly this was not hard at all. If I had to pick between the two, it might be a little bit harder, but these two foundations are my holy grail products. So the first one is the Rare Beauty foundation. I'm sure this isn't surprising, and also this entire video isn't surprising. I can't talk. But I have the shade 170W, and this is just such a perfect foundation for me. It doesn't emphasize dryness, but the finish of the foundation is my perfect finish. I don't like things that are super dewy because I don't know, I just don't like the look of that, but I don't want something that will dry out my skin and make me look really flat. And I find that this, sorry, my cat just sneezed, but I found that this is the perfect foundation because it doesn't dry me out, but it isn't super luminous, which I really love. It also has the perfect amount of coverage for me. I would say it's a good medium coverage. You can build it up or sheer it out, but it's my perfect foundation, and if I could only keep one, it would definitely be this. And then my other favorite is the Bite Beauty Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation in the shade L20. I absolutely adore this foundation as well. I think it's more similar to a traditional tinted moisturizer as far as like texture and application goes. It's a bit thicker than like the ColourPop Pretty Fresh, but not thicker on the skin. It isn't as liquidy when you squirt it out, but I find it has way better coverage than the ColourPop one. I find it still, to me, is a light medium coverage, but it's not super light where it's not going to cover anything, and that's kind of the general thing of what I like. Is I do like something like the ColourPop Pretty Fresh, but this doesn't really add coverage, it just adds a base, whereas these will definitely add coverage, which, especially when I'm trying to be quick, I really like these because I don't need to apply extra concealer or anything like that. So I love this foundation. It's a little bit less finicky, I would say. I would think more people would probably enjoy this one because there are more mixed reviews on the Rare Beauty, but this one is a pretty typical foundation like texture and finish. Again, it's not super dewy, but this one is a little bit more hydrating, I will say, than the Rare Beauty one, and I just find it is beautiful. These both wear lovely throughout the day. When I put it on, it's gonna look good at the end of the day and gives me my perfect amount of coverage. So I definitely have enjoyed these, and yeah, they're my holy grail. By the way, I'm wearing the Rare Beauty one today. I've basically been wearing these two in all of my recent videos. But my favorite two concealers, the first one is my #1 favorite, and it's the Uoma Beauty Stay Woke concealer. I like this one more than my other concealers because it has fantastic coverage. I find that this is a pretty medium to full coverage concealer. I don't apply that much concealer. When other people say that they don't apply a lot, they still take it and they put it all the way under their under eyes. I literally will take it and add like a dot or like a little line and use that for my entire under eye and still remove more of that because I just don't like a lot of product on my under eye. But this still gives such great coverage and it really brightens your under eye. I don't know what it is. I think like in the lighter shades there's like a pearlescence in it, not in like a shimmery or any that kind of way, but just it's going to make you look awake. I mean, it's the Stay Woke concealer. It's really going to not necessarily eliminate all of your dark circles, but it's really going to make you look super awake and brighten your face up without making you look like you have a ton of concealer on or like blanking out your face, which I really enjoy, and it's just a really reliable concealer. It's on the more soft matte or satin finish, but I find it never dries me out, which is so bizarre to me because I would expect this to be a little bit more drying, but it's my perfect concealer. I have the shade White Pearl T2N, and I adore it to pieces. And I also have been really enjoying the Rare Beauty concealer in the shade 170W. Is anyone surprised? But this one is, again, in a similar sort of fashion that it really just brightens your under eyes. I think this one is more of a subtle brightening, but this one really, you can add it on top of another concealer or just use it on its own. It's what I'm wearing today. And this one is definitely lighter coverage, but I find I don't mind that it's lighter coverage because of how awake it makes my face look. It really just brightens my face, and I find makes my makeup look a lot better. This is a little bit thinner than the Uoma Beauty one, but I mean, they're concealers. I find on the skin they both look pretty similar, and this one, again, just makes me look super awake. And I think on like everyday no foundation days, I honestly go for both, but the Uoma one I go for when I'm going to put this all around my face as like a foundation, because this is really wonderful as a foundation. But like if I'm just applying an under eye concealer really quickly, I would go with this one because it's less drastic. This is a shade that's a little bit light on me, but like seriously, chef's kiss to all the base products that I found, because these are my holy grails and I can't live without them. So for powders, I don't really want to spend long talking about these because these are literally the same ones I've been using and the only ones I've tried. But for a pressed powder, I've been using the Bite Beauty Changemaker powder. I have the shade Light 1. These they don't like oxidize, but I wouldn't get a shade that looks like it'd be exactly the same as your skin tone because it probably will be a little bit dark on you. But obviously, I love this powder. I find it's a pretty standard powder formula in the fact that it's not going to do anything magical to your under eyes, but I think it sets my makeup really nicely without drying me out. It doesn't look like it does nothing. Like, it does make my under eyes look a little bit more airbrushed in a way, not in like a way where I imagine the Charlotte Tilbury one would, but I just find when I use this, my under eyes end up looking better because they just look a little bit more even. And it's not going to make me matte, but it is going to take away the sharpness of any shine, if that makes sense. So if like I'm wearing something very, very dewy, it's going to take off that edge, but it's not going to flatten me out. And I've really been enjoying this. And I don't support this brand, but it is my favorite loose powder of the year. It's also the only one I've tried, and I've had this one for a very long time. Used this for over a year. This is the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. This one, as opposed to the Bite one, very lightly sets your makeup. It's going to be very thin on the skin. You're not going to be able to feel it. I love how it feels on the skin though, because it's so thin, and you can tell that like your face is set, but it's like almost soft on the skin. Okay, for bronzer, again, this is a category where I literally feel no need to expand because I found my favorites. Honestly, that's with a lot of these categories. I found my holy grails this year, which is really amazing. But my favorite cream bronzers, first I will talk about the Fenty Beauty cream bronzer because I feel like this is in almost everyone's video. I have the shade O2 Butter Biscuit. I would like to get the shade Macchiato, but at the moment, with being inside all the time, I have gotten a lot paler than I normally am. I normally am like, I'm like a light medium shade. Like, this is the palest I've ever been, and I'm shocked at how pale I'm literally white on my chest, which has never happened to me because I used to be so incredibly tan, and even throughout the year, I still got pretty good color. Anyway, that's not related at all, but this has matched me really well, being that I lost every ounce of my color since March. So this has been a really nice color. This is a more sheer bronzer, so it is a little bit more dewy. It's not going to set down as much as like a matte cream bronzer, and it's a lot sheerer. And what I mean by that is you can see your skin through it, which I think makes this really beautiful for everyday makeup looks because it doesn't look like you have a stripe of bronzer on your face. It looks seamless with the skin and almost like you got a natural wisp of sun on your skin. And Jamie Page does a lot better at explaining these, but all I can say is it's just very sheer and skin-like, and I really like this formula. It does take a little bit of building up, but that's just the nature of a sheer bronzer. And then my other favorite, which I've had before 2020, but I'm going to throw it in here because it's my favorite. It's the Milk Makeup Bronzer Stick. I have the shade Baked. This, as opposed to the Fenty one, is a matte cream bronzer, so it is going to set down. It's more pigmented, and it's not as dewy, so it's not matte, like it's going to dry you out, and it's not the same as a powder. I'm actually wearing it today, but I have other cheek products on, but it is more pigmented, which I find this is a much faster bronzer to apply. I just take my brush and I dip it in here and I put it on my cheeks, and that's all the color I need. It blends out so easily, like it blends out for you in 2 taps and suddenly it's all the way blended on your cheeks, and I just really like it because the pigmentation is really perfect. Okay, for blushes, I have a lot, to be honest. I'm gonna start with like my 2 favorite blushes, I think. So like my favorite cream and my favorite powder. So if that's what you want to know, I will tell you now. I will say I do have an Hourglass blush in here, and I don't currently support the brand, but I still wanted to mention it in here, not to promote their products, but just to kind of be able to look back on it in the future and know like what I was wearing all the time. But anyways, my favorite cream blush was the Tower 28 Beach Please in a Magic Hour. This is a rosy peachy, not nude, but just a rosy peachy neutral shade on me. I find that this is my perfect everyday shade blush. I can wear it with any look and not have to think about it. It is a very balmy cream blush, but it is pigmented, but I find this color blends out fine on me. It's nothing that's like a super summery blush, and I just really love it. It's pretty affordable. It's 20 bucks, and it's my perfect shade. So that's definitely my favorite cream blush. And for my favorite powder, I'm gonna say it's tied between two of them. The first one, which I would say I probably use more just because I've had this longer, is the Cover FX Monochromatic Blush Duo in the shade Soft Peach. I used this a ton when I first got it because I really didn't have any other powder blushes. I really didn't have that many cheek products when I started my YouTube channel, but I used this one a ton, and you can see like my brush marks in it, but you can't see a dip in it or anything. But this is such a beautiful shade. It's very light, so if you have a deeper skin tone or like a medium skin tone, I don't know if this will show up that well on you, but they have other shades of this. But this color is just really nice, and it adds a brightness to the face without being too bright. I find that this can go year round without looking like, whoa, she has like clown cheeks. I think it looks really gorgeous. It is a peach color, but I don't find it's too orange leaning. Definitely like when you swatch it under a light, it looks orange, but on the skin, I think it's a pretty straight down the road, whatever it's called, like straight down the middle peach blush. Like it's not too pink and it's not too peach, or it's not too pink, it's not too orange, which I find really flattering. I just mix the two shades together, and I really like the tone of this blush. So I love that one. And then I also really enjoyed, especially in the fall and winter time, the Hourglass at Night blush. Again, not a huge fan of Hourglass right now, but this is just a tone that I really fell in love with, and again is a tone that I've been wearing with almost any of my makeup looks, and it goes with a lot of different eyeshadow tones. It's like a, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a burnt rose color almost. I don't know how to describe this color. It's similar to MAC Warm Soul, if you know what that is, but mine has a lot more of the highlight, which at first I was turned off by that, but I think it makes it very wearable for me because I don't have to think about putting on too much, and the color just looks like I'm naturally flushed, especially in the winter fall time. It looks like a cold flush almost, and I just really love this blush. And now for all the other ones, which I almost basically equally love, but if I could only keep three, these would be the three I kept. But let's talk about the Patrick Ta blush duos, because these are probably like next in the ranking. I have these shades She's So LA and She's That Girl. I love both of these a lot. She's That Girl is probably, I put Tower 28 as my #1 cream blush because I think it's the most everyday shade, but this is probably my #1 cream blush, assuming I have other blushes, if that makes sense, because it is a bright pink, which I don't think goes with every makeup look, so it wouldn't be my only blush, but this is my favorite tone to wear, and I find the formula really pretty on this. I'm wearing the cream today. It's really gorgeous on the skin. I don't find it too pigmented, but it still has enough pigment that it blends out really easily. I think it's a little less balmy than the Tower 28 one because it feels like a very sheer balm, if that makes sense. Like, I think it'd be more similar to the Fenty one, versus the Tower 28 one is more like a thicker balm. I don't know how to describe it. You're gonna have to swatch it or try it for yourself. But I know people like State of Kate don't like balmy blushes, so I don't know if you'd like this, but this is a much sheerer blush. Not even in tone, just it's a much sheerer formula. This one is like thick. Like, I can feel how thick this is in the pan. Versus this one, my finger just glides in like it's nobody's, like it just glides across the surface and is very thin. So the powder is super finely milled. It is pretty pigmented, this powder, compared to the original Patrick Ta blushes. This is a more pigmented powder. I usually end up only using the cream. I need to use them both more, but I apply way too much of the cream and then I don't even need the powder. But I love the little flap on this. I love the packaging. It's gorgeous, and the shade is just so stunning on me. It brightens my face up so well. By the way, I have a whole blush tag video where I'm pretty sure I swatched these. I don't know. And I also have swatches somewhere on my Instagram. So if you want to see those, just let me know. And also you can DM me if you need anything. But I also have the shade She's So LA from Patrick Ta, which I got so much use out of over the fall time because it's literally the perfect fall blush. But even after fall, I find it has enough red in it that it still looks blushy without being like a burnt brown blush. And yeah, this is the perfect shade if you don't like traditional blush colors, if you don't want to look like you have clown cheeks, if you hate pinks, if you hate reds on you, try this shade because it's a brownie blush without looking like a bronzer. I don't know how to describe it, but I seriously love this shade on me so incredibly much. It's hard to see because I'm using artificial lighting, but it's a like reddy brown tone and I find it so incredibly flattering. Even on me who likes pink blush, I still love the color on me and equally love this blush. Okay, and then the last two, the first one is from MAC, which I also don't support MAC right now, but I thought I would throw this in here. This is probably my newest blush out of this collection that I'm talking about, but it's an instant fave. It's the MAC Glow Play blush in the shade So Natural. It's kind of similar to the Tower 28 one in that it goes with everything. This could be one of my only blushes or my only blush and it would be fine because it goes with everything. But I think the formula on this is so unique. It's like a bouncy blush. This is a creamy powder blush versus a cream blush, if that makes sense. Like it's very much like you can apply on top of powder. It's not going to disturb anything. And even though the texture feels creamy, I still think this is a powder blush. But the formula is gorgeous and this shade is so beautiful on me, especially because I have a lighter skin tone and I really love that. It does have a little bit of a luminosity. It's not shimmery on the skin, but it still gives a nice glow. And then last is Glossier Storm, which is such an unexpected favorite of mine. I love the other shade I have as well. Storm is the perfect winter blush for me. And even all around, it looks like I was in the cold. To quote Khaki, it looks like a Nordic child running through the fjords type of blush. Literally, I was watching Frozen 2, and this is the type of blush color that it looks like at the end of the movie and they're out in the cold and they have that not super pinky blush, but it's a very flushed cheek, but it looks like you're just out in the cold and you have cold wind on your cheeks. I don't know how to describe it, but it's so incredibly natural on me despite being such a dark color. So that's kind of what it looks like. It obviously can blend out more or be more pigmented, but it looks perfect. It's honestly so good. I need to wear it more over winter. Okay, now that I talked about over half of my blush collection, I realized that I have way too much blush on one, and I also forgot to talk about my favorite powder bronzers. So let's go back to bronzers. I have two. My first is the Kosas Sunshow bronzer, I want to say. I have the shade Light, and again, this is just such a good natural bronzer on me. It looks one with my skin, and it doesn't ever look like I overdid it. I never overdo it with this bronzer, but it still gives me the look that ties my makeup all in together. It's not going to look like you were tanning in the sun, but it is going to make your look cohesive and add some shadows to your face, which I think is really flattering. It is a more shimmery formula, but I find the amount that I apply is not going to enhance that shimmer on the skin. I think it's just going to make it look one with the skin and look a lot more natural. It looks like how I would naturally look being out in the sun a little bit, and I just think this is a really natural bronzer and I really enjoy it. And on the same type of thing, I also loved the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush bronzer. Again, it's not a bronzer that you overdo it with. It's such a thin formula. It looks very natural on the skin, and it's just not one that's going to give me an overly bronzed look, which I really have been liking, especially now that I am more fair. Okay, now onto highlighters. I have two, one cream, one powder. The cream one, which I cannot stop wearing recently, is the Rare Beauty Liquid Luminizer in the shade Mesmerize. I think the shade range is great on this, but I don't think you need more than one shade because once it's actually on the skin, I honestly don't think that there's a difference, and you're just going to convince yourself that you need different tones because in the bottle you can clearly tell the difference in the tones, but on the skin you just need one highlighter. But I think this is so gorgeous. You can almost tell in the bottle when it's in the sun that it's just going to look so natural on the skin. I literally just take some from the doe foot, apply it on my cheekbones, and then blend it out with my blush brush, and it gives a very natural glow from within, but it doesn't look like you put nothing on your skin. Like, you can definitely tell that you put on highlighter, not in like a highlighter way, but like it does something, and I really like it because I'm not into the super stroby highlighter looks, but I still want to look like I have something on. And this one is really unique because even though it is a liquid highlighter, it doesn't stay tacky, which a lot of cream highlighters stay a little bit tacky. This one definitely does dry down, so I would blend it out, not quickly, but like don't sit there for 10 minutes and wait to blend it out. Like, it's going to dry down. It's like, that's just the nature of this, but I still think that this is gorgeous. I'm not sure how it applies over powder things, but if you are very well versed in cream products and wearing a full face of cream products, I think you're really going to enjoy this. And this is honestly the most underrated part of the Rare Beauty line. I'm not saying it's my favorite from the line, but I feel like not many people talk about this, and I think this is such a phenomenal product, and I really am so glad I picked this up. I'm sure none of you are surprised about this. My powder highlight favorite is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Superstar Glow Highlighter. I know a $55 highlighter is not everyone's cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea either. I did get it on sale, and I had a gift card to pay for it, but I think this is, it's so good. It's such like a creamy formula. It's almost velvety, and it's so unique in swatching it, and then on the skin it honestly just blends right into your skin. It looks like it might be a little dark. I do have swatches of this on my Instagram if you're interested in that and seeing a more in-depth review, but it honestly just melts right into the skin, and as long as you don't apply too much, like if you're of my skin tone, don't go heavy-handed with this, but I still think this will work because it's like a peachy champagne type of tone, not in a pink highlighter way, in a very natural like skin tone type of way, but I still think it's so gorgeous. It is a more natural highlight, but it is going to give you that pop on your cheekbones, so I really enjoy this. And also the expiration date is 30 months, so I'm super glad to know that this formula should last me a long time, and the pan is huge, but I really love this, and I love the packaging. Surprisingly, I love the silver, and the embossing on the product is just gorgeous, and definitely a standout product of the year for me, and I'm so glad I bought this. Okay, and then moving on to the eyes, I had an eyeliner favorite, which is very new to me, but I can already tell that I really enjoy it, and I've been using it a ton. It's the Victoria Beckham eyeliner in the shade Cocoa. It's just a very standard dark brown. It doesn't have any shimmers in it, but it is so incredibly creamy. This is way creamier than any eyeliner I've ever tried, and I've tried the Marc Jacobs one. I think this is so creamy, and I really like that because I don't have the most sensitive eyes, but my eyes water very quickly, and this never irritates them whenever I go on the upper waterline. It doesn't irritate my eyes because as soon as I touch it, it gets on there, which you have to be careful because if you touch this in a place that you didn't mean to touch it, or you're doing eyeliner on your upper lash line, it's going to go not everywhere, but like it's not a forgiving type of product because once you place it there, the color is there. But the also good thing about it being creamy is it's super easy to blend out. It comes with a little blender part on the back of it. And if I apply it on my upper waterline, I try and apply a thinner line, like a thin line as possible. But if I do go too thick, I just take the smudger part and I try and blend it as much as possible. And in the end, it ends up working out. And I just really love this. It is pricey. I did get it for Black Friday, but I would definitely consider buying more shades from this line. My favorite mascara, hands down, of the year is the Marc Jacobs At Lash Mascara. I'm not currently using this just because I've had it for over 3 months or so and I have other mascaras to use, but it's such a good mascara. The wand is like a pretty standard fluffy mascara wand, but it's so quick. I find that it doesn't go overboard, like I apply one swipe and suddenly I look terrible, but it doesn't require me to sit there and spend a ton of time building it up. I would say it's right down the middle in terms of mascara. It's not the most natural looking mascara unless you apply a very light layer, but there definitely are more dramatic mascaras. So if you like a more voluminous, lengthening lash look, I would go with this. If you like very like thin, like glossier lash lick type of mascaras, I wouldn't go for this. Eye primer favorite is definitely the Fenty Beauty eye primer. This is the only one I own because I don't want to own more than one, but this is such a good eye primer. I will say, if you haven't tried this and you're trying it for the first time, do not apply a lot. Don't apply it like concealer. I just take the wand, I apply a dot on this side, a dot on that eye, and blend it out with my finger, and it is a flawless base for eyeshadow. It's not going to add coverage, so if you want to add coverage, add this either on top of your concealer or however you want to do it, but it isn't sticky, but I think it's almost like a waxy formula, not in like a thick way, but it's gonna really help your eyeshadow to stick to your eyes. I usually will set this with like a cream colored eyeshadow just so that I don't have any problems with applying eyeshadow, because sometimes if you apply too much, when you place your brush down, that eyeshadow will just stay there and it's gonna make your eye look a little bit more tedious to blend out because it's going to take a little bit more time. But I love this one, especially if you have oily eyelids. Your eyeshadow is going to stick so well to this. For cream eyeshadows, I love this. This is such a good eye primer. And then for brows, this is a recent favorite as well, but the e.l.f. Wow Brow really wowed me because the problems I have with the Glossier Boy Brow is that it can get everywhere. It gets like above my eyebrow, everything, and it's just a little bit more expensive. Not even a little bit, it is more expensive than this, and this is so affordable. I can go to the store and pick it up when I run out, but it's so good, and I like it better than the Glossier one. I find that it doesn't get on your skin. It really just goes wherever your eyebrow hairs are. So if you don't have a ton of hairs, I wouldn't say that this is the best eyebrow gel, and I also don't think it's going to do the best holding job. I want to try the CoverGirl Easy Breezy Brow or something, because I heard it's very similar to the e.l.f. one, but it holds your brows up a little bit better, but it's just so good for the price. Okay, so for my single eyeshadows that are more potted or like not in a pan type of thing, I have 3, and they are all on the everyday eyeshadow sort of side. The first one is one that I'm wearing today, is the the Charlotte Tilbury Iced Mesmerize in Rose Gold. This is so good, but it's just a rose gold color without leaning yellow gold or super gold or anything like that. It definitely leans more pink, which of course I love, and I find the formula is just, it's really nice on the lids. It looks like, it's weird to say, but like your eyelids are hydrated, which is a weird thing to say, but when I apply it, it's not going to make my eyes look dried out. It's going to make me look very fresh and youthful, which I really enjoy, and I find I really like how my makeup looks with this, especially I don't apply this when I do super dramatic makeup looks, but that's not the type of makeup I look to do on an everyday basis. I just put a matte shade in the crease and then take my finger and apply this on the lid, and I don't even need a brush necessarily to blend out the edges because it's so easy to work with. It's more of like a moussey whipped texture. The next one, which I would say is again up there for my top 2 for my everyday eyeshadow favorites, is the Chantecaille Luminescent Eye Shade in the shade Cheetah. This is a warm champagne shade, and I wouldn't say it has glitter or super big reflex. If you are Tara Brooke, don't buy this. If you have the same eyeshadow taste as Tara, I don't think you're gonna find much worth in this because it is not a super impactful reflective eyeshadow. It is very natural, which I personally really like for an everyday basis because it doesn't draw too much attention to my makeup, but it still enhances my look, and it gives a very mature sparkle to the eye, especially in different lighting, like low light lighting and in the sunlight. There are so many different reflex and sparkles in it that I can't even describe. If you go on my Instagram, on my highlights thingy for my stories, I have some, you're just gonna have to look for it, where I tag that I'm wearing a Chantecaille eyeshadow. It just has so much beautiful reflect in different lightings that it's just gorgeous. It's not your standard shimmer shade. You can definitely tell a little bit of luxury, and it's almost like a baked formula without being dry. I literally don't know how to describe it, but it is so gorgeous, and I really want the shade Zebra. I don't know if I'll get it, but honestly I love the formula, and I use this so much on an everyday basis that I think I will end up getting Zebra either on a sale or asking for it as a gift, because I just find it so gorgeous and so easily wearable, but still adds a little bit of mature enhancement, if that makes sense. For my lovers of sparkle and impactful shimmers, I loved the Super Shock Shadow from ColourPop in the shade Mycelium. This is from the Raw Beauty Christie collab, and I think my last 2 videos I was wearing this. It is all the beautiful impactfulness that I'm sure many of you love and I love as well, but it doesn't go like overboard. Like I can still wear this on an everyday basis, but I find this so beautiful. I love it as much as like my Hourglass Scattered Lights, if not more, because of the shade. I find the shade is a perfect everyday shade. It's like a neutral shade, leaning a little bit warm, not warm in like an orange sense, but like almost like a warm champagne-y pink. Not pinky at all if you're scared of the pink, but this is so gorgeous, and if they still are restocking this or have this, please go get it. It's so pretty on the lids, and it looks like it's luxury makeup when you put this on, but it's ColourPop. And then I did have one traditional single eyeshadow to talk about. This is my ColourPop Z palette, but it's the shade Lavender from JD Glow. Now I will say I haven't worn this a ton, but I feel comfortable putting this on my favorites because I think if you like the shade, you will love this. This is luxury quality at a pretty affordable price tag, I would say. It's a little bit deeper of a purple compared to like the Pat McGrath shade that I love, but this is so gorgeous. It is basically the same quality as Pat McGrath shimmers, and I would highly recommend a lot of the different shades on the website. I would just look on Instagram for swatches because it's hard to tell what shades you're getting on the website, but that's the shade Lavender, and it's so reflective. It's not chunky glitters at all. It's like a very thin reflect running through it, and I love it. The shade is pretty I love everything about it. Okay, eyeshadow palettes were honestly some of the hardest to narrow down because I had so many that I love, but when I'm really talking about palettes that are my favorite in my collection, it was just so hard to decide. So I think my number one palette, in terms of if I could keep one palette, and that's my only palette I would keep, it would definitely be the M Cosmetics Divine Skies eyeshadows. This is the one in Magic Hour. The formula on this is beautiful. The mattes are very pigmented but easy to blend out, and the shimmers aren't impactful. They're more everyday shimmers, but they still haven't, like, they're a very nice formula. I don't know what to say, and I use every single shade in this palette. I just really enjoy it. I got this for my birthday for my boyfriend, and I think the formula is stunning, and especially the color story is right up my alley and is anything I want in an eyeshadow palette. A very similar color story in terms of the matte colors are the Natasha Denona Tropic, which is another palette that I think is great for my everyday use, and I like how much versatility there are in the mattes. There are some similar shades to the M Cosmetics ones, but I think why the M Cosmetic one stands out as being my favorite palette in my collection is because it has those everyday shimmers, versus this one I do really enjoy, but it doesn't have neutral shimmers. I really like this one because I get to use this in combination with some of my favorite singles. So I used this today with my Charlotte Tilbury single, and that's why I really like it, because I can reach for other things in combination with this. And then if I had to pick a palette that was my favorite of the year, but it wasn't my only palette in my collection, it would definitely be the Pat McGrath Flora Fantasia quad. This is the Celestial Divinity quad that they came out for holiday this year. This is me in a palette. I'm sorry to anyone else who thinks that is you in a palette, but no, this palette is Ashley in a palette because the shades are pinks and purples. Obviously, those are my favorite. And oh, it's just so beautiful. This shade is my favorite eyeshadow in my entire collection. It's a very sheer purple, like light purple lavender color with a blue shift, and it's not super intense. It's not an impactful shimmer. It's more like the typical mature satin type of shimmer, but the color on the lids is so gorgeous. And whenever I wear this palette, which first of all, I almost always just wear these two colors because those are my favorite to wear with each other, and I don't reach for anything else. I literally put that in the crease and not in the lid. But whenever I wear it, I think I look the best that I ever have. Like, I think this is what makes me look the best, and what's making me happy, because when I look at my eyeshadow and I see purple, it makes me so incredibly happy because I love the color purple. This is a long video, I'm so sorry, but we're almost at the end. My favorite lipsticks are actually surprising. I thought I would have a different favorite lipsticks, but these are the ones I use the most. The first is Charlotte Tilbury Glowing Gen, which I'm surprised by because it is a little bit more of a deeper rose color, but I find I love it, especially when I apply a little bit of a sheerer amount. It's again that pinkier rose color, which I really like, but it's a very mature color where it's not going to look bright or anything. I don't like light lip colors on me at all, and I thought this would be more of a bold lip color for me, but honestly I feel comfortable wearing it. I'll see if I feel comfortable wearing it to stuff like class because it might be a little bit more glam. But like, this is an everyday lip color for me because it adds color to my lips, but it doesn't make me look like I'm wearing a very bold color. I love it so much. And then I also have been loving the Rare Beauty Lip Souffle in the shade Fearless. I'm sure you guys know I love this year. It's a very unique formula because it's like a creamy matte. I don't even know how to explain it. You can tell when I apply it, it's almost like a blurred color. Like, it's not going to come on full opacity, and it's so easy to blend out. You can put a little bit and blend it around your lips and wear it like that as like a blotted lip color, or you can apply a more opaque amount, and I think the color is very, very beautiful. And then my favorite lip glosses, you guys already know, I'm not going to talk about them for long, are the Tower 28 glosses. I have the shades Fearless, or actually I have 6 shades, but my 2 favorites are Fearless, which is a purple shade, but it ends up just looking like a natural pink on me, and Coconut, which is a perfect everyday pink for me. Love these so incredibly much. And then my favorite lip balm is definitely the Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balm. It's perfect. It's my perfect everyday lip balm, but it still works great for overnight. It's really hydrating, and it doesn't feel like it does nothing once I actually take it off, and I just think it looks really nice on the lips too. It makes my lips look very plush, and I love this so much. It has a light vanilla scent. But anyways, I've been filming for so incredibly long, and I'm so sorry that this video is so long. I just had so many favorites, and I felt like I had to talk about each one in case you are new to my channel and you haven't heard me describe these products. I really want you to get a good understanding of like how the product is and why I like it, because these are definitely favorites in my collection, and I think these will be around for a very long time in my collection because they really are my hardcore staples. Like, I don't see these changing anytime soon. So Anyways, if you still watch the end of this video, comment like a turtle emoji. I don't know, just I really appreciate it if you watched this far because this is such a long video. Be sure to let me know something that you really enjoyed this year because I would love to know. I filmed a whole video doing a full face of all your guys' favorites if you want to see that, but I would love to know more of your favorites because I always like listening to what people enjoy. But this video is long enough. I'm going to sign off. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you in my next one. Bye!